Hi, this is Tom. Welcome to my channel. So on the left side, I've got a web app, and this was built by Cloud Code. And this is based on a book, which I'll mention in a second. It's got different tabs for sections of the book. And on the right, we've got Google and Chrome, which is an extension to Chrome. So I can close this panel or click on Ask Gemini. And then if I click on Ask Gemini, then this panel can see what's going on the left. And there's other AIs that can do the same thing in browsers and extensions, but I'm using Chrome and Gemini and Chrome. So the first time I did this, I asked Google and Chrome to infer how the app was built and what the source was. And so Google and Chrome told me how the app was built and told me that the source was the book Why the Allies Won by Overy, is the author's name. And I asked it, well, how did you know that? And said, well, it's written right at the bottom. And here it is, right here. So it's based on, it says there, the name of the book and the author, which I thought was pretty funny. It cheated. But one interesting thing about it is it can see past the bottom. So it's not literally what you're looking at, but like I can't see past where it scrolls, but it can see the whole page. And also it can see the HTML. So it has a dual view of how it looks at the web app. So one is sort of visual, it's not exactly like a human being, but similar in concept. So it's looking at whatever tab I click on, it sees that what's on that tab. And then also it can see the HTML. But it's not exactly the same. So for example, it can see more than I can see in the sense that it can see to the bottom past what's scrolled. And but it also sees less. So for example, it has trouble making out like these graphs and charts. So there's a way that you can help it out, which is in the HTML code. Let's see, let me try this. So this in the HTML code, it can read a part of this, but not all of it. So you can put it in the part that it can read. So it can read the DOM. And I won't go into that. Anyway, let me close this. Anyway, there's a part of this that it can read. And so you can put information in the part that it can read about the charts and the graphs. And I found this out by, I did a deep research prompt and just like monkeying around and asking it information and stuff. And so found out that you can embed information in it. And that gave me an idea about extending the power of the web app. So the idea that I have here is that it's acting as a teacher. So in the HTML, there's additional information that's not on the visual part. So the concept is that, like, if I'm a student, I'm going through the web app, and then the teacher knows more than the student does. So if I'm on a certain page, like say this intelligence page, which is talking about breaking the Enigma code that the Germans had, when I get to this tab, that's right here, it's giving me additional information about what I'm reading on the tab. So for example, it says here that there was a 10-month period where the Allies couldn't read the Enigma codes because the Germans added a fourth rotor to their 3-rotor machine, and it took them that long to figure out a way of being able to crack the more powerful codes. So this is a teacher persona, and then I have another persona, which is a tour guide persona. So with the tour guide persona, when I start, I just say hi. It reads the HTML, and so it's like seeing, how it's supposed to interact with the HTML, and it will give a guide, through the web app. And so like sort like a tour guide in a museum, and say go to this tab, go to this tab, go to this tab, and then talk about what's on the tab. And you can choose a brief tour or a standard tour or a detailed tour. And that guides how much information it'll tell you about each of the tabs as it's going through. So those are a couple of ideas that I'm working with on. The concept is to integrate the web app, with the AI that's, sitting on the panel on the right. And wanted to mention sort of a neat thing is that you can break the fourth wall. So I can say, like, I'm the developer that wrote this app. Can you give me feedback about the app? And it will do that. And then I'll say, okay, I use Cloud Code to build this. Can you write out information I can give to Cloud Code? And, about the feedback that you have. And so I copy and paste that, give it to Cloud Code. And then Cloud Code will react and say, okay, yeah, there's some good ideas here, but there's some stuff I don't agree with. And I'll say, well, go ahead and implement the stuff you agree with. And so it rewrites the app, and then it deploys it. And so then I refresh the browser, and I come back, and Cloud Code can communicate with Gemini and Chrome through the HTML, and then I can get the two AIs talking to one another to improve the web app, which is really neat. And there's a couple of different paradigms now. This is a new thing that's happening with AIs. It's able to improve itself. And this technique that I'm using, where I'm going back and forth, copying, is very cheap token-wise. It's not burning a lot of tokens. The techniques that involve where you have an AI that's auto self-improving, I guess you could say, that's a lot more token expensive. But this way is very cheap, and pretty neat way of working with it. Well, those were a couple of ideas involving integrating the web app with the AI panel on the right that I hope you found interesting. So thanks for watching, and until next time.